Hello Internet, and welcome back to my reviews of the MCU leading up to Avengers Doomsday. Last time we covered Iron Man, and now we're here to take a look at an underrated gem that's the only film in this universe about a scientist who turns into a green monster when he gets angry, The Incredible Hulk. Released on June 13th, 2008, 1 month after Iron Man, The Incredible Hulk is directed by Louis Leterrier, famed director of The Transporter, Transporter 2, 2010's Clash of the Titans, Now You See Me, and Fast and Furious 10. 5 years prior, in 2003, we got a movie titled Hulk, directed by Ang Lee, and starred Eric Bana as Bruce Banner. I wonder if the sole reason Eric Bana got cast was because his name was Bana, which sounds like Banner.
God damn it, Barb!
2003's Hulk is also underrated, but I had many gripes with it. Mostly because it felt too somber in a movie focused on a giant green rage monster. The fact that the Hulk looked too much like Shrek, and the comic book scene transitions that looked out of place and worked better in an animated Spider-Man movie in 2018. And the pace was slower than dial-up internet. You could practically finish an entire large pizza by yourself before 2003's Hulk got exciting. However, in subsequent years, it gained a cult following. I currently have no plans on reviewing 2003's Hulk, but if I end up getting requests to review that movie, I will gladly do so. A planned sequel was in development, but instead, we got the movie we're looking at in this video. This movie stars Edward Norton as Bruce Banner, also known as the Hulk. Edward Norton is best known for portraying the nameless protagonist in Fight Club. Oh shit! I talked about Fight Club! Fuck! Edward Norton would eventually be replaced by Mark Ruffalo in The Avengers due to disputes with Marvel and creative differences. There's Liv Tyler as Betty Ross, Bruce's love interest. Liv Tyler is the daughter of Steven Tyler, lead singer of Aerosmith. She is also known for her portrayal of Arwen in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. We don't see her again until a brief cameo appearance at the end of Captain America: Brave New World 17 years later. The role of Betty Ross was previously played by Jennifer Connelly in 2003's Hulk. We have the first appearance of William Hurt as Thaddeus Ross, a role previously played by Sam Elliott. William Hurt will later reprise the role of Thaddeus Ross in Captain America: Civil War, Avengers: Infinity War, Avengers: Endgame, and Black Widow. After William Hurt died in 2022 from metastatic prostate cancer at age 71, he would be replaced by the great Harrison Ford in Captain America: Brave New World as the President of the United States. There's Tim Roth as Emil Blonsky, or the Abomination. Tim Roth would later reprise his role as Emil Blonsky in Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings and She-Hulk Attorney at Law. I felt his return in She-Hulk was a much different take on the character, and I don't mean it in a good way, especially in a Disney Plus series that has an infamous scene involving Megan Thee Stallion. Then we have Tim Blake Nelson as Samuel Stearns, a cellular biologist who tries to develop a cure for Bruce Banner's condition. Tim Blake Nelson would later return as the main antagonist in Captain America: Brave New World. And fun fact, original Hulk actor Lou Ferrigno provides the voice of the Hulk and makes a cameo appearance as a security guard at Culver University. This is the only film in the MCU to be distributed by Universal Pictures, because even though Marvel Studios acquired the rights to the character of the Hulk, Universal Pictures retained distribution rights. So with that said, here are my spoiler-filled thoughts on an underrated film in the MCU that not very many people talk about in 2026. This is The Incredible Hulk. Captain America: Brave New World felt more like a sequel to this movie than a Captain America movie. And a lot of people out there can agree with me on that. But enough about that. Let's dive right into The Incredible Hulk. We see an opening credit sequence that shows the sequence of events that led to Bruce Banner turning into a giant green rage monster. He was exposed to gamma radiation during a procedure that was meant to recreate the Super Soldier program that was shown with Steve Rogers in Captain America: The First Avenger. But the exposure to gamma radiation causes Bruce Banner to transform into the Hulk. The transformation into the Hulk is triggered by two things. 1. Piss him off and make him angry. 2. His heart rate rises above 200 beats per minute. So no nights of wild crazy sex for Bruce, or subscriptions to Planet Fitness, and no anxiety or panic attacks. Gee, that'll be damn near impossible for someone who struggles with this kind of stuff every day. There are even countdowns on screen showing the number of days without incidents, showing how long it's been between Hulk transformations for Bruce. This feature may work for Edward Norton, but not so much Mark Ruffalo. The Hulk destroys the lab in which the experiment takes place, which is at Culver University in Virginia. General Ross is injured, and so is his daughter Betty. And General Ross even brands Bruce as a fugitive, and he has no choice but to stay in hiding. We cut to 5 years later with Bruce living in hiding in Rio de Janeiro, the setting for the upcoming reboot of Mario and Sonic: Revenge of the Deadly Six. He is secretly in contact with an unknown source called Mr. Blue, while he goes by Mr. Green. Mr. Blue is the name of the song that triggers brainwashing in Captain America: Brave New World, and was a clever reference to this movie. So Bruce and Mr. Blue are trying to work together to find a cure for Bruce's condition. And Bruce also tries to learn Portuguese to blend in with the people of Brazil. And how does he do that? By watching Sesame Street and other television programs. And he also takes yoga and learns breathing exercises, which prevent him from turning into the Hulk. Bruce is working at a bottling factory in Rio when he accidentally cuts his finger, and one of the sodas being produced at the factory is contaminated. And who ends up drinking that soda and develops gamma sickness? Stan fucking Lee! So now that Stan Lee drank the contaminated soda, the army led by Ross now has a lead on Bruce's location. So that means he's no longer safe where he is. A special forces team led by Emil Blonsky, played by Tim Roth, is sent out to capture Bruce alive so that they can weaponize the Hulk. And one thing that Bruce Banner says in the Marvel Comics in the 1970s TV series is, "You wouldn't like me when I'm angry." He tries to say it in Portuguese at the bottling factory with a rude coworker, but due to him still learning the language, he ends up saying hungry instead of angry. But in the 1970s series, it's not Bruce Banner who turns into the Hulk, but rather David Banner, which is also the name of Nick Nolte's character in the 2003 film. Oh joy! Another David who is not a wolf boy. Go figure! So Bruce runs away from the SWAT team led by Blonsky, and tries unsuccessfully not to turn into the Hulk when he is cornered by thugs led by a rude coworker who hates his fucking guts. Until his heart rate goes back to 200 and gets ready to smash some bitches into rubble. He takes out the SWAT team one by one with Blonsky surviving. Bruce then hides out in Guatemala and slowly makes his way back to the United States. Back to Culver University, where he sees his old lover Betty alive and well after the accident. He then meets up with an old friend, the owner of a pizzeria played by Paul Soles. Paul Soles is best known for providing the voice of Hermie the Elf in the classic 1964 stop-motion Christmas special, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, as well as the original voice of Spider-Man in the 1967 Spider-Man cartoon. Paul Soles lived to be 90, passing away in 2021 in his sleep from natural causes. The owner of the pizzeria gives Bruce a job as a pizza delivery man like Peter Parker in Spider-Man 2. But unlike Mr. Aziz in Spider-Man 2, he's nicer and doesn't give him a 29-minute guarantee.
Cool!
And so Bruce bribes Lou Ferrigno with a large pizza so he can get into the computer lab to do his research on getting rid of the Hulk once and for all.
Pizza time.
Except Bruce Banner doesn't say pizza time, unfortunately. Nor did Lou Ferrigno say that he was late and that he's not paying for those. And sitting across from Bruce doing his research is Peter Parker's science teacher Roger Harrington, played by Martin Starr. In 2019, Kevin Feige confirmed that this was indeed the same character as seen in Spider-Man Homecoming, Spider-Man Far From Home, and Spider-Man No Way Home, eating a slice of pizza across from Edward Norton connecting with Mr. Blue. Before this, we see Blonsky being injected with a serum that enhances his speed, his strength, and his agility, meaning that Bruce Banner has no chance against him the next time around. Bruce and Betty have an emotional reunion after they see each other at the pizzeria. Meanwhile, with the antagonists, Ross is informed by Blonsky that Banner escaped because of a green monster. Ross tells Blonsky that Banner is the Hulk and that he's far more valuable than he believes. But while Bruce and Betty are at Culver University looking for answers, they're ambushed by Blonsky and his men. All because Betty's asshole boyfriend contacted her father about Bruce Banner. And how does Bruce hide a thumb drive with all the clues on it? By fucking swallowing it and not crushing it to pieces while he transforms into the Hulk and fucks everyone up, even Blonsky. And they try to subdue him with weapons that emit sonic blasts. And this time around, Blonsky is much faster than before thanks to a serum he took. Betty tries to stop her father from going after Bruce, but like the cold-hearted asshole he is, he decides to ignore her. And that led to the estrangement between Ross and his daughter that eventually gets resolved at the end of Captain America Brave New World 17 years later. The Hulk brings Betty to safety where they decide to stay on the run from her father. Soon they crash in a motel where she cuts his hair and brings up the purple pains that are mostly associated with the Hulk. And we see that Bruce is not allowed to have a night of wild crazy sex because it causes his heart rate to go up. And so they have to ditch their cell phones and credit cards because they can easily be traced, and they discover the identity of Mr. Blue, Dr. Samuel Stearns, played by Tim Blake Nelson. Tim Blake Nelson also plays a role in Fan Fuck Up 4, and will return to the role of Samuel Stearns in Captain America Brave New World. Oh god, just the mere mention of Fan Fuck Up 4 makes me want to get an alcoholic beverage, and I think I know just the person I can count on to get me a drink. David Wolfboy McInerney76? What do I keep telling you about calling me when I'm busy saving the fucking multiverse? I'm having PTSD flashbacks of Fan Fuck Up 4. Can you please pass me a beer? Just a beer, not whiskey, vodka, or a margarita? Just a beer, please. Here's you go. 1 bottle of Coors Light on the house.
Okay, which sumbitch stole my Coors Light? Was it you, Wade?
No, it was Summers.
Which Summers was it? Scott? Maybe he needs it for James Marsden's ultimate return as Cyclops in Avengers Doomsday, wearing a comic-accurate suit.
Actually, it was me, because the Wolf Boy was having PTSD flashbacks of Fan Fuck Up 4.
God damn it, you red-clad sumbitch. Just when I was getting my very own PS5 game, too.
I see Zowie!
Well, I've got plenty of beer in the fridge to try to forget about the garbage known as X-Men Origins Wolverine. And that fake Deadpool. What? Got nothing to say? Mouth?
Let's just say that he brought up that doofus who called himself the leader in Captain America Brave New World.
Oh, no. Not that bastardized design of a beloved comic villain. The movie got so much wrong it made me want to take up drinking and smoking again after I promised Charles not to do that.
My foster father, Charles? He's dead. Scage murdered him.
No. Professor X. The one played by Captain Picard from Star Trek The Next Generation. But now that you brought up Captain America Brave New Flop, the beer is all yours.
Slancha.
The hell did he just say?
Slancha. It's an Irish word for health. The Irish say that before drinking.
Never knew that. Now, if you'll excuse us, we have a PlayStation 5 game to prepare for. Have fun reviewing an underrated Ed Norton film.
Thanks for the cameo. Now, where was I? There's an Easter egg when Bruce and Betty eventually find Dr. Stearns in the form of the S.H.I.E.L.D. logo. And when they make it to New York, Bruce decides against taking the subway to see Dr. Stearns, so Betty suggests they take a cab. Yeah, big fucking mistake! The driver of that cab deserves to have his fucking license revoked because he cut people off, drove over the fucking speed limit, and he sexually harassed Betty!
That's no good.
If your Uber driver displays those kinds of red flags during your ride, call the cops immediately and watch the fucker get handcuffed and dragged into Arkham Asylum. After that pandemonium, we finally meet Dr. Samuel Stearns, or Mr. Blue, while Bruce was known as Mr. Green. Does that make Deadpool Mr. Red or Wolverine Mr. Yellow? Mr. Red and Mr. Yellow sound like better nicknames than ketchup and mustard.
Keep that up, and I'll personally grind you into ketchup and mustard. Put you on a hot dog and eat it like how Tobey Maguire ate that tofu dog in Spider-Man 2, since Tobey Maguire at the time was a vegetarian in real life, and he became vegan in 2009. So no pizza time for him, sadly.
Damn it! Dr. Stearns supposedly developed a cure for Bruce's condition. The antidote seemingly works after a Hulk transformation is triggered on purpose, but Stearns warns Bruce about the risk that the antidote poses. And then we see that the blood samples that Bruce has been sending Stearns from Brazil have been synthesized in massive supply so that there could be revolution in medicine. And Bruce wants the samples destroyed, since he fears that the Hulk's powers will end up in the wrong hands. And then things go tits up when Ross's men arrive and shoot Bruce with a tranquilizer dart. They close in on Stearns, and Blonsky forces him to give him a sample of Bruce's blood. As soon as that happens, Blonsky transforms into a giant monster himself, known as the Abomination.
You one ugly motherfucker.
This is the only time we see the Abomination in the MCU. Before his fight against Wong in Shang-Chi in The Legend of the Ten Rings, and even She-Hulk Attorney at Law. And so he goes on a rampage across Harlem. But before that, he attacks Stearns and he gets a cut on his forehead contaminated with Bruce's blood, and he gets mutated into something that doesn't get resolved until Captain America Brave New World. And he just looks hideous in Captain America Brave New World, but nowhere near as bad as Mr. Electric in Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. As Ross takes Bruce away, the Abomination begins attacking Harlem, going on a rampage. He realizes that the only way to stop this monster is if he turns back into the Hulk, and so he jumps out of the chopper without a parachute against Betty's pleas. And he turns into the Hulk, and we have one final confrontation against the Abomination. One thing the Hulk can do in this movie is clap his hands and create a sonic boom. So don't invite him to any concerts or Broadway musicals after a song is finished. Otherwise, the concert venue will be reduced to rubble. And then, we get the best line in the entire movie.
Hulk! Smash!
And yes, that's Lou Ferrigno providing the voice of the Hulk. Although he was uncredited for voicing the Hulk in the Avengers, Avengers Age of Ultron, and Thor Ragnarok. The Hulk defeats the Abomination in Mortal Kombat and spares his life after almost choking the bastard to death with a metal chain. And so, Bruce flees New York and leaves the Abomination to be arrested by Ross and his forces. And this is the last we see of Ross until he becomes Secretary of the State in Captain America Civil War, and President Indiana Solo in Captain America Brave New World. And this is the last we see of Tim Roth until Shang-Chi in The Legend of the Ten Rings and She-Hulk Attorney at Law. A full month has passed, and Bruce is hiding out in British Columbia learning to control his transformations. Not only going from Bruce Banner to the Hulk, but also transforming from Edward Norton to Mark Ruffalo.
God damn it, Barb!
And another sign that this movie is connected to the bigger Marvel Universe is Tony Stark making an appearance as he approaches General Ross at a bar and tells him that a team is being formed, that being the Avengers, and that's the end of the movie. I'm giving The Incredible Hulk a 6 out of 10. This is an underrated film that not a whole lot of people talk about anymore. Edward Norton made a great Bruce Banner and a great Hulk, before he was replaced by Mark Ruffalo. This was definitely an improvement over the 2003 film with Eric Bana, because let's face it, that movie aged like chocolate milk, especially the special effects and the wacky scene transitions that belong in a Spider-Verse movie, as much as I enjoyed Eric Bana's performance as Bruce Banner. If there's any gripes I have with this movie, is that it lacks depth, and what's sad is that it's the only solo Hulk movie in this entire universe. All of Mark Ruffalo's other appearances in the MCU are mostly him being a team player, not really going out on his own. And after Avengers Secret Wars next year, the likelihood of there being a solo Hulk movie with Mark Ruffalo is slim. All gripes aside, this is an underappreciated and underrated movie that doesn't get the credit it deserves. Great performances from Edward Norton and Liv Tyler, great action sequences, and a story about a man trying to tame the monster within, as if he were Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. In fact, the Hulk was actually inspired by Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And I can sort of see something similar with Willem Dafoe's performance as Norman Osborn in The Green Goblin. So do I recommend The Incredible Hulk? Yes. Yes, I do. It didn't end up on Disney Plus until 2023, when distribution rights reverted to Marvel Studios and Disney from Universal. The only major connection to this movie in the overall MCU is Captain America Brave New World, which felt more like a sequel to this movie than a Captain America movie. And the next movie I'm going to talk about after this is a follow-up to a strong start for the MCU. Stay tuned for my upcoming review of Iron Man 2 coming soon, as well as all other exciting videos and projects coming soon. Till then, I'll see you all next time.